Hello everyone, this is Johnny Girardi with DataSelf Corporation. Thanks for joining our webinar. In our last webinar, Gary Jensen described the critical role of business intelligence when addressing three powerful game-changing strategies for extremely busy distributors and manufacturers. Today, you're going to see business intelligence in action. The purpose of today's webinar is to educate you about DataSelf BI, a leading business intelligence solution for mid-sized companies. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes with this PowerPoint and then jump right into the product presentation. From a technology standpoint, DataSelf BI simplifies and amplifies Microsoft Business Intelligence. In other words, it makes it simple and inexpensive for companies like yours to benefit from analytics, data mining, dashboards, data warehousing, OLAP, and other BI technologies. Before we talk about the main benefits of DataSelf BI, let's state the problem. People who consume reports are usually decision makers. On the other hand, people who can modify or build reports are usually IT people. The bottom line is that management has to rely on other people to get new reports. And sometimes it takes hours, days, or even weeks to get the job done. This inefficient process can cause frustration and derive decisions based on guesswork, not facts. Having stated the problem, the main benefit of DataSelf BI is empowering decision makers to easily access operational data when and what is needed. On average, DataSelf BI users can customize more than 70% of their own reporting needs without IT help. Let me repeat this. On average, DataSelf BI users can customize more than 70% of their own reporting needs without IT help. The other main benefit comes from over 2,000 reports and key performance indicators pre-configured. We call many of these reports and KPIs easy money. We call them easy money because they address inefficiencies that are often overlooked. Let's go into the product presentation. I'm going to demo DataSelf BI addressing the three powerful game-changing strategies. I'm going to focus on strategy 1, making smarter sales. I'll show some examples for strategy 2, which is managing inventory efficiently, and also for strategy 3, which is more buying. Let's then switch to the product. This is the main client tool for DataSelf BI, even though we can also use Excel and some other tools I'll show later. Here on the left side, I have the briefing book where I can see existing reports in folders. Each folder here would cover or covers a different area of the business. You know, we can provide analysis for GL, financials, inventory history, projection, sales orders, and so forth. The right area is where we can see the actual report, which may have a chart and a grid. Maybe only charts, maybe only grids. We'll show some examples of both. Now, what I'm going to do in this presentation is show some predefined queries, you know, some of the easy money type of reports. Then I'm going to show how easy it is to modify a query on the fly. I'm also going to show some other reports in other formats like Excel or even on the website. And finally, I'm going to show how easy it is to build reports from scratch. So I'm going to cover all of this in a minute. So first of all, let's take a look at some of the predefined reports. The first one is pretty straightforward. You know, top customers by sales this year to date. Here we have the information on a grid format as well as on a chart. If we use the mouse and put over the legend, it will highlight the entry, in this case is a customer, and also highlight the bar for this customer, putting the total at the top of the bar. So this customer, about $731,000 in sales this year. if we put the mouse over the chart per se, it kind of highlights the bar that we put the mouse over and also highlights who the customer is in the legend. And also gives some more details on this yellow box. So some kind of flashy navigation techniques when analyzing charts. And by the way, our solution has been designed for decision makers. And many of them, they like to analyze trends using charts. So this tool does a great job making charts pretty and flashy and very educational. Now let's take a look at the next simple report available out of the box. It's a very interesting perspective here. This report is looking at top growth and decline in a given period. It's a type of report. This one specifically is showing top customers by sales increase and decrease on a year-to-date basis. Here on the left axis we have sales change since prior year to date, and these customers are the ones growing the most since last year to date. And usually what happens is salespeople are paying attention to these customers because they're buying a lot more. It's good. Usually they're being taken care of. However, on this other side of the chart, we see the top customers by sales decline since last year to date. And sometimes when people look at this, they realize that some of their big clients are going down a lot in sales. And sometimes there's something you can do to fix that trend. Maybe the customer is not happy, maybe the competitor is knocking the door, something is not right, and hopefully you can fix it if you act in a timely manner. So checking reports like this, top growth and decline, can help you find those kind of trends that are so critical to keep your business efficient. And again, we have this kind of perspective, top growth and decline analysis by sales, quantities, inventory, purchasing, GL information, you name it. The next type of report looks at what we call exception reporting. Exception reporting is a type of reporting that looks into transactions that are no longer happening. In this case, we're looking at regular customers with no sales recently. So here we have a list of customers that had sales in the last 90 days, but no sales in the last 30 days. Again, it's a type of report available out of the box that looks at transactions that are no longer happening, and sometimes they can be really important. In this case, what's going on with these customers? Is it okay? Maybe not. Why is not okay? Can you fix it? Questions to be asked. Let's look at a report on the inventory side. This report here is show inventory forecast. It's a very simple chart. It has one type of item being plotted. We have right here quantity on hand today, and then we have quantity inbound quantities, from PO, outbound quantities, meaning going out either on outstanding sales orders or even when we plug in sales projection. So how many orders are supposed to go moving forward. And then we can plot what's the forecast on hand we're going to have at the end of every period. In this particular report, the forecast is based on a monthly basis. However, we can use any kind of time bucket. We can do forecast on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly, quarter, you name it. Very easy to do with Data Self BI. This other report here shows the same information we had before, but breaking down by individual items. So all the items, and then looking for every month, quantity on PO, quantity forecast to be sold, and then what is the quantity on hand forecast at the end of every period. This kind of reporting on the inventory side combines information from the inventory management system, from purchase order, from sales order, and also from sales forecast, all in a single location, point and click type of thing. Reports in Excel, many people like to see Data Self BI through Excel, and I'm just going to show some examples here. The first one would be a very inexpensive, easy to build dashboard. This is an example of an executive dashboard where we have 3 charts and some grids. This one is coming from AR. This one is coming from inventory management. And this one is coming from GL. Everything posted on a single Excel spreadsheet, easy to build. You know, it takes a few minutes to build a dashboard like this and provide to upper management. Another type of report in Excel is a sales forecast and actual versus forecast type of report, looking from salespeople, breaking down by different categories, in this case channel, sales in this month, and year-to-date sales comparisons. On the inventory side, this is an example of using Excel for inventory replenishment planning. Again, this report here combines for every item. We have open transactions from PO, from SO. We can plug sales projection, make a projection on hand, and using reorder parameters, we can define when people should place orders. And if we do an order like here, it tells us who the vendor should be and what the average cost you can expect. So many ways to use Excel also to bring information from DataSelf BI. These are reports ready to go, just kind of showing how they work. For the next part of the presentation, where I show how easy it is to modify existing reports in DataSelf BI. So I'm going to go back to my top customers by sales this year to date report. Suppose I'm looking at this report here, looking sales this year, which in my sample database is 2009. What if I want to see sales in last year's sales and this year's sales side by side? If I don't have DataSelf BI and I don't have this report ready, most likely I have to call IT, ask the question, and wait hours, maybe days, even weeks to get the report ready. With DataSelf BI, as a user with little training, I can make those changes. For instance, if I want to see 2 years side by side, I can come to this timeline bar, select 2008 and 2009, press apply. That's the answer, 2008, 2009 side by side. What if I want to see growth and decline since last year? Well, many ways I can do that. In this example, I could right-click and choose Pivot the View. And when I pivot the view, I have my customers on the x-axis, and then I have a yellow bar for 09 and a blue bar for 08. Now I can tell this customer is declining sales a lot since last year. This one is growing since last year. Perhaps I want to change the chart type. I can come over to this menu and click, let's say, pie chart. Same data set, a different graphical representation, and then can be very informative. Let me use the back button here to go back. In the back and forward button, they work just like on a web browser, so pretty convenient. What if I want to drill down into different time buckets, from year to quarter to month to date, maybe to fiscal period, maybe to weeks, you name it, maybe to seasons, summer, Christmas season, you name it. In DataSelf BI, we can have many different time buckets available for easy analysis. Right now in my demo, I have analysis for calendar year. So if I want to drill down into quarter, month, and day, it's very straightforward. Let's say, let me drill down into the quarters of 2009. I just come to the year 2009 heading, click on it, and right there I see quarter 1, 2, and 3 of 2009. What if I want to see sales by month in a quarter? I can choose a quarter heading, like first quarter, click on it, and right there I see January, February, and March. What if I want to see several periods side by side, several quarters, several years, months, seasons, you name it? Well, one way is to choose the timeline bar here. I'm looking at months, so let's select, let's say 8 months side by side. Press apply, and right there we see the answer. Maybe I want to compare, seasonal transactions. Let's say the same period in different years. In my example, I'm going to use June 09 versus June 08 versus June 07, and I could go back as far as my data would permit. In my sample database, I only have 3 years worth of data. So I chose those three, June for those 3 years, press apply, and that's the answer. Well, I opened my top customer by sales this year to date, and then I drill down into different time buckets. What if I want to see something else related to these customers? Who sold to these customers? What warehouse shipped the product? What products were sold? You name it. How can I do that? Very easy. You choose, let's say, one of the customers, my top customer right here. I right-click and choose Drill Down. In here, I'm starting to show some of the nice I call nice tricks that people use to take advantage of DataSelf BI. This is what we call reporting parameters. In this case, we're looking at sales, so they are sales reporting parameters. And I just have to pick and choose. So in this case, if I want to see what products were sold to this customer in those 3 months, I just click product here, and now the report that was showing by customer now turned into a product sold report. Very easy, straightforward. Kind of right click, choose, drill down, and go into something else. So now we have the product sold to that customer in those 3 months. Very easy. How can I get this information out? Suppose I want to send an email or maybe export to Excel. Many ways to do that. Maybe I can right click, copy this chart, can go to Excel and right click and paste it. Can be as simple as that. Or you can create a report directly in Excel, for instance. You can also have these reports showing on a web browser. Like in this example, we have web-based dashboards, dynamic. You can go into them, right-click, drill down, and so forth. Easy to use. Now, the last part of my presentation, I'm going to show how easy it is to create a new report from scratch. So let me do that. I'm going to click Build Query from Scratch. I'm going to get some more room here and click the Setup panel. Now, this is something very interesting with DataSelf BI. If you don't have DataSelf BI, every time that you ask for a new report, you have to ask IT. It's just the way it is. We work with many different accounting packages, and they all work the same. Call IT, explain what you want, and wait. With DataSelf BI, what we do is we map reporting parameters. What I'm talking about here? Well, most companies, when they're analyzing their operations, let's say their sales operations, they have a fairly well-defined set of reporting parameters. So for sales, we're talking about, let's say, customers, salespeople, territory, products line, ship to, things like that. And then they look at different measures, sales, cost of sales, quantity shipped, quantity return, gross profit, growth, you name it. But they are all reporting parameters. Every time that management asks for a different report, they only asking for a different combination of the reporting parameters. Maybe a different type of summary, type of sorting, grouping. Is always the same reporting parameters in a different combination. Without DataSelf BI, every report requires IT. With DataSelf BI, we just map the reporting parameters, and from that point on, any person with little training, maybe no formal training, or maybe a couple of hours, they'll be able to do those changes without calling for IT help. So back here to my presentation, in my setup panel is where we provide the reporting parameters for sales analysis in this example. Let's see what reporting parameters are. So if you look at the customer, I have, the subcomponents like account manager, region, customer name, address, credit limit, so forth. If you look at product, product-related parameters, product ID, description, and so forth. So these are the reporting parameters available, in this case, out of the box for sales analysis. It's easy to add and modify this list, but for now, let's just use the list as is. The bottom area shows what the reporting area contains. Right now in my rows I have companies, in my columns I have document date or invoice date, and the number being showed is sales amount. I'm going to build a new report from scratch quickly just to give an idea that it's easy and fast, and it takes little training to learn this. So what if I want to see sales by salesperson by month in the second quarter of 2009? So I want to see a list of salespeople and sales in 3 columns, each one of them in a given month in the second quarter of 2009. I'm going to do it really quickly. So I don't want to see company in my rows. I drag it out. I want to see salesperson name, for instance. I drag it in. I press apply. So now list of salespeople on my report. And I'm going to drill down from all company history into 2009 into the second quarter. So there it is, sales by salesperson in the 3 months of the second quarter of 2009. Quick and easy, not complicated. I got the answer. What if I want to change this report? Suppose I want to break down this report by product line, let's say. Same idea, just drag and drop. Find the reporting parameter you want to see, product line description, drag it to my rows, for instance, press apply. So by salesperson, by product line, sales for the past 3 months. Maybe you want to switch things around, just do it. Let's put product line first and then salesperson, press apply. So by product line, by salesperson, sales in those 3 months. Maybe I want to see a different measure, quantity shipped, gross profit, you name it. We go to measures, double click measures here. We got the out of the box predefined reporting parameters for measures. If I want to see quantity shipped, I select, press apply, and there you go. What if you want to see gross profit percentage and sales amount? Select both of them. Now I'm going to put my measures in my column, so I have them both there. Press apply, and there it is. Sales by product line, by salesperson, percentage gross profit, and sales amount for those 3 months. Quick and easy. Business people with little training will be able to do this by themselves without calling for support. Let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to open for questions. And one of the questions is how much Data Self BI costs. And cost, it can vary significantly. First of all, we have a 60-day money-back guarantee, so we put our skin in the game. Second is we have 3 types of pricing model, rental by month, rental by year, and purchasing options. Most people, when they get Data Self BI, they start with some small initial investment. And the initial investment can be as little as a few $1,000s and get, some very comprehensive business intelligence with their system. Some other users that have, lots of users, very sophisticated needs, multi-company, multi-currency, things like that, and they want, web-based dashboards, that can be costly, can be into the $50,000, $80,000. But most people, they can get started, with a few $1,000s, taking advantage of Data Self BI. Second question is, how long does it take to get Data Self BI up and running? The actual deployment takes hours. Theoretically, we can get the system up and running in about a day. In real life, it takes longer because people have to find, where we're going to install it, get user access, who's going to use it. So on average, it takes a couple of weeks up to about a month to get the system ready for training.